So now I'm going to introduce Jason Thompson. He's the Brand Development Manager for Supima. And Jason's going to be talking about the champagne of cotton and really speaking to less from a technical side about talking about provenance and authenticity that we spoke to about with Oratane, more from a marketing and an identity perspective. Ways to speak about provenance and where Supima's from and about the identity that we've developed for the brand. So I'll give you Jason Thompson.
All right. Check, check, check. Am I on? Everybody can hear me? Okay, so afternoon after lunch, send in the clown. That's sort of the way we're going to do things here. As Buxton said, I'm Jason Thompson. Been with Supima for about 3 years now. Canadian connection continues all the way from Kirk to Mark being Canadian to this guy being Canadian. I'm authentically Canadian. We'll talk about identity. I say things like process. I say things like about. And all those sort of things that you're going to catch when I talk. Kirk calls it my Canadian brogue. That's the way that he puts it. Yeah, nice snicker. So basically what you're looking at here is we're going to take you through a few things. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've had some great conversations already today. Thanks for coming. This has been awesome so far. Give it up again for Kirk and Jake. I thought they did a great job. These are the guys that really make this thing happen. And I've had some awesome conversations already with a few of you, and I hope to have a few more. As it seems like we're piquing your interest, and everybody in this room, we're all in it together. And it's nice to see that we're willing to learn. So after all that technical information and all those discussions that we had, they're sending me in to talk about something that's really close to my heart, something that I'm very passionate about, and that something is champagne. Everybody knows this term, and everybody knows the name. So really what we want to ask here is, what's in a name? Everything can be in a name. A name is how we look at each other. A name is how we describe things. A name is how we're going to be able to distinguish one thing from another. You know, a name can mean so many different things. And when you look at champagne, for example, champagne as a name has translated into so many different avenues and so many different places and so many different things. It's something that signifies a product, but it's also something that signifies a celebration. We use it for good luck. We use it to launch boats so that they have a christened maiden voyage. We use it as a color. And what does that color signify? It all ties back to something of a name, and a name that's been given to a product, a name that's been given to a process, a name that's been given to something that has transcended itself and something that has become a lot more distinguishable for what it means than perhaps what it is. So when you look at the name Champagne, it's a place. And it's an actual place where they decided that they're going to produce a product. They came to this product really by accident. I think it was monks that thought they were making a white wine, and somehow the bottle carbonated, and voila, you have champagne. So champagne really signifies a practice as well as a place. It signifies the people that are doing this practice, and it does signify the product. So there's your 4 Ps in a square. You've got a place, you've got a product, you've got people, and you've got practices. And these practices and people and product and place are extremely well protected. And they're protected by that 5th P by an inherent need and a want and an ability for them to identify something that is different than any other thing in the world and know that they're making something better than the other types of it in the world. And they want to be able to market this, and they want to be able to present this to the world. And they want to be able to do that from a place that they know is authentic and a place that they know that they can stand behind and say, we do this, we take pride in it. And we all, as a community, have a responsibility then to look at it and say, we're willing to pay the extra for this. We're willing to do what it takes to keep this going because we believe in this product. Now, champagne as a whole really is an ingredient brand. There's all these different ways of presenting it and marketing it and looking at it and putting it in different bottles. But the main thing that they've been able to do over this time period is been able to say that when that Piper Heidsieck or Taittinger or Moet or Pierre Jouet says champagne, that it is in fact champagne in the bottle. And when you order champagne or when you pay for champagne, that you are in fact getting champagne. How can they do this? Well, they can trace it back, as we talked about earlier, to the place that it came from. They can trace it back to the practices that made it the premium product that it is. And what's amazing about this is a sixth P, and that's price. So when we look at price of champagne, it varies. But we always know that we're getting the product that's in the bottle from the brand that we want to buy it from. So if Perrier Jouet was a t-shirt brand, that would be my favorite t-shirt brand. If Bollinger was a t-shirt brand, then that would be my second favorite t-shirt brand. But the ingredient in the bottle is something that I'm going to order, and when I walk through the doors of a place like a Costco, I understand what I'm going to pay for it. When I go to a restaurant, I understand what I'm going to pay for it. And when I go to a nightclub, I understand what I'm going to pay for that. So it differs all the way down the supply chain, on the consumer level, to the point where my circumstances and what I'm trying to achieve by buying this product really dictate what I'm going to pay for it. So that's a really interesting place to be. So when you add all this up and you look at what they've been able to do from this product that we all know, and we all know what it means, what they've been able to create is this concept. And it's a concept that I'm sure any wine drinker and champagne drinker is very familiar with, which is the concept of terroir. And terroir is this concept that by definition refers to an area and the collective knowledge amassed from years and years and years and years of practices of creating this product, and the biological and identifiable physical environment that this product comes from. And when you apply all those together, you get a distinctive characteristic from those products originating from that area. And when they have an organization over it that can protect it and can go out and own the name champagne and say that you cannot label anything champagne unless it follows these strict rules, it sounds like something familiar that we saw this morning. So the Champagne Terroir is the only one of its kind, and it's original as the wine it produces from the area. So really, with all those P's that I talked about and everything that we got into, they've created an identity. And identity goes beyond a name. Something like a name is what we identify ourselves as, right? So champagne has an identity. When you say the word champagne, all those things come together subconsciously in your mind, and you already know what you're doing. You already know what you're paying for. You already know what we're talking about, because they've been able to create and protect this identity. So when we talk about identity, this is something that we want to be able to bring to the market for our product, because we see a lot of parallels. So an identity is something that we set out in 1954 to create for American Pima Cotton. It's been through different iterations. It's been through different looks. It's been through different ideas as to how to present it to the market. But the core concept of this organization has not changed since its inception in 1954. And today, the identity on the right is the one that we all are more familiar with in this room. It's the one that we're looking to promote, we're looking to stand behind, and we're looking to bring forward into this very confusing and also exciting time of product and textile production. So identity to us is everything. Identity is how we're going to be able to distinguish. It's how we're going to be able to be authentic. It's how we're going to be able to parallel that age-old practice that we learned from the French in Champagne. So as Mark and Buxton have referred to, Supima as an identity refers to superior Pima. It's a portmanteau. This is the brand that was created in 1954 by that band of farmers in El Paso, Texas, because Pima, of course, as a name, is a generic term, and it's a name that through migration of the seed went to different places. So back then, they thought, how do we create an identity that distinguishes our Pima, American Pima, from the rest of the Pima that's out there, from the Proseccos of the world, from the Cavas of the world, from the sparkling wines of the world? How do we protect our champagne? And the idea was you create this identity, and everybody can relate to the fact that it is superior Pima. We think we have the best practices. We know we have the most efficient ones. We know we have the best cotton. So let's go out and let's market it. And that's been the goal of this organization since 1954. It hasn't changed. We found different ways to do it. But this is really something that is not going to change. This is our core belief. So we create an identity. Your packets have these sort of visuals in them. You know, these are ones that we've taken a lot of time to promote out to the marketplace. We think that these are the ones that work. We like brands to take their own different spin on it. We like brands to look at how they're going to present our story in their way. And we give you the tools and the knowledge, to do this. So we've spent a lot of time around this cotton, and we spent a lot of time around what makes this a distinguishable cotton. And these are the things that we can tie back to age-old practices, global scarcity, the authenticity of it, and the superior nature of the intrinsic qualities that are in the fiber. We always talk about color. We always talk about softness. We always talk about stronger. Recently, last year, I was actually in a room with Buxton looking at an ad campaign, and the ad campaign was built around these three ideas, and how do we make it look different? How are we going to make it really dynamic? And the company came up with these terms called beauty, form, and function. And Buxton immediately went, your BFF, which is a really cool term, and I think that one that we're going to bring forward, because these products are going to be your BFF as a business. They're going to be your BFF as a consumer, because it's your favorite T-shirt, it's in your favorite colors, and you know it's going to last the longest. So these core concepts are really part of our identity, and we're going to find different ways to put them out there. We're going to find different ways of working with you to see how we can distinguish your brand and how you want to present them. But these won't change. It's going to be vibrant color, softer fabric, and a stronger fiber. That's just intrinsic. We have a licensee program. You're all part of it. This is obviously one of the core differentiators for the brand as well. When you're in a membership, this is something that you're taking ownership in, you're taking responsibility for. So this licensee program, it was started in the 1980s. I believe Japanese licensees were the first ones to take it forward. And as early as 15 years ago, we had 50 licensees. Very boutique operation. If you look at what we've been able to accomplish over the last 15 or 16 years, we're now approaching 550 licensees. We have over 204 brands that are currently licensed with us. So the demand for knowledge, the demand for authenticity in a fiber, the demand for better quality products is there, and we're reacting to that. And everybody in this room is helping us do that. By becoming a licensed Supima member, you're adhering to some guidelines for our identity and for our brand. So when you're the Supima licensing program, as you know, you must use 100% American Pima. We license the entire supply chain so we can get a visual authenticity of who's spinning it, who's weaving it, who's knitting it, where it's going to be finished, and where it's going to be sold. Annual license fees for participation at the industry level. This keeps the industry engaged and responsible for what they're doing. And also, as I said, we currently have about 540 licensees across 49 countries. This continues to grow. We have a tremendous growth rate, and you know, we think that overall this is something that we're going to see keep growing in the future, and we're excited about that as well. So on top of this, as a licensing program, as a membership, as a way to use the trademark and take it forward, we've now created the Champagne of Cottons. And this idea comes from the fact that we have our own terroir. So when you talk about climate, you heard Jake, and you heard Mark, and you heard Kirk talk about the climate of California and how it's perfect for growing Pima. This is a specific and rare combination of climate, specific and rare combination of hot days and cold nights and great soil and all these sort of things that make up that region. And that's why American Pima is only grown in those 4 states that we talk about. It's rare. We talked about global scarcity. It's 1% of global cotton production. The history is there, the pedigree is there, the provenance is there. We're able to talk about all the different iterations that it's gone through and the varieties and how we keep pushing the threshold. The practices are there. The distinction from a brand level is apparent to everybody in this room as well. And then, of course, what Jeff was talking about is the authenticity that we're able to provide beyond a paper trail level and now forensically. So when we look at the identity of Champagne and what they've been able to create, Champagne can only be Champagne, and we follow that up by saying Supima can only be Supima. So when you look back at the founding of this, she's fantastic, by the way. This is the pedigree and the idea that this all came from. Born and bred in Arizona, long staple cotton. These sort of ideas have carried through. The practices. This is, something that's been brought down from years of knowledge. You can't just basically, someone asked, actually on a tour last week, was asking Jake, if I wanted to grow Pima tomorrow, how could I do it? And he says, well, you could be a fourth-generation farmer and learn from the mistakes of the 3 generations prior. And that's really what we're talking about here. It's a very tricky thing to grow. It's knowledge passed down from generation to generation, and that's what creates the best practices going forward and the fact that we're getting the best thing out of the land. So transform that into tomorrow, you're going to be out there learning firsthand what makes this such a special place, what makes this such a special climate, and what makes this such a special cotton. And these are the kind of things that we can interact with. We can have fun out there. You're going to be able to talk to farmers. You're going to be able to take images. You're going to be able to learn firsthand from these people about what's so special about the ingredient that you use. And of course, have a little fun while you're out there. Ask questions. These are the sort of things that we want you to participate in. So this all sums up basically the identities that we're looking for, the things that we're looking for and what we want to create and how we want to bring things forward. Is the video next? No. Okay, this is good because the next thing we're going to talk about is obviously this slide that Jeff showed earlier. We're taking the identity and we're bringing it into authenticity. And these are the images that you're going to be able to put forward. And this is the idea and the stories that we're helping create out there. And the reason that we're able to do this is because of what Jeff talked about earlier, that we have this. And while you look at what Champagne and the practices of Champagne and all those brand houses and wine houses have been able to create, they've created a fingerprint for it, right? So when you look at this fingerprint, as Jeff established earlier, this is what now, in this climate, in this marketplace that we're in, this sets you apart because your fingerprint is your identity. We talked about name, we talked about identity. This fingerprint is what gives you your distinct identity out there. And only you can be your authentic self. Only Supima can be its authentic self, and only Champagne can be its authentic self because it has a distinct fingerprint. So we want you to leverage this fingerprint. We want you to market this fingerprint. We want you to use this as your way to set yourselves apart because what you're doing is authentic and true, and that's gonna span any sort of generational hot topic or any of these sort of things because the brands that stay around, the products that stay around are the tried and true ones. So we've brought this forward for you, and we want you to use it. We're going to keep bringing it forward, and we're going to keep this updated so that you can find new and better ways to tell your authenticity story to your customer. Next, I have just a video from one of our really engaged licensee partners. This video basically takes you through the provenance of Supima Cotton. It's nice to hear from not just us, but someone who's engaged at a brand level and how they saw the story. And we think that this is a really good representation of the Supima story from a brand retail level. Sorry.
Cotton has a approximate 7,000-year history in terms of acknowledging its existence and seeing its uses. Supima was started in 1954 as a promotional organization banded together by a grower base in El Paso, Texas, to protect the authenticity and the identity of American Pima cotton. We have more brands and retailers that are looking to Supima to help them craft and storyline messaging that will make it a better connection back to the quality of the product and the experience that they're going to have. So when we talk about the sheets that you want to sleep in, you want to be able to be comfortable in your sheets. And why sacrifice on the quality of those products? Because a majority of your life is spent next to them.
The Supima organization overall has been wonderful to work with. They're committed to integrity and quality, and that matches up with our own brand vision for what we're looking for in our products. Supima is the brand that certifies that the Pima cotton that we see is superior Pima. It's grown in the US, 100% grown in the US, and that, in comparison to Pima is widely found all over the place, and there's no governing body on it. So at this point, anyone can call any cotton a Pima without any organization checking to make sure that that is actually a long staple fiber. We talk about the pedigree of Supima cotton. We talk about where it comes from. It has an origin, it's got a history. This is certified by the Supima organization, and that certification gives it a lot of reliability in the fiber. We are very concerned about where all of our products come from and what the history is, and making sure that we're producing the best quality product that we can.
My great-grandfather came out here around 1914, so 103 years ago. It's kind of, as you can say, it's in my blood to farm. It's what I know, it's what I do, it's what I love to do. I look forward to just coming out here and walking through these fields and getting out, looking at the crops. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. I used to drive equipment for my father, and my father's still farming over here on the other side of town as we speak, and he still grows Supima cotton. You get to not only start out with a seed, you put that seed into a good environment. At the end of the year, you produce the food and fiber that people in the world get to enjoy and utilize. So that's why I do what I do. We have a lot of trust and a lot of faith that the Supima brand is, it's the best there is, or we wouldn't be partnered up with Supima. So I'm really, really confident when we're growing Supima that our cotton is going to the best of the best.
Our product promise that we strive for at Maloof is to offer the best and top quality in a product line or category to consumers at an attainable price for everyone. And Supima, as far as cotton's concerned, is the best. Supima cotton consistently is always ELS, or extra long staple cotton, which means that we've got longer fibers to weave finer yarns that will pill less, feel better, feel softer. And for our customers to be able to offer the highest level cotton brand and product that you can find anywhere in their stores to complement the mattress purchase at an attainable price is a huge benefit to them. And in most cases, this level of quality, particularly with Supima, is not even found in these larger retailers. The market reaction to Supima has been fantastic. It's been a great process being able to talk to people about the superiority of the fiber, the authenticity of the origin, and the impact and effect that it'll actually have on their sleep experience.
That's a good example. It's one that we like to show because I think that it hits all the key touch points that we're trying to get to when we talk about what we're trying to do. And this slide is interesting because after everything that you hear today and all these sort of things that we're talking about and everything that we just went through, really what we're asking is to reconsider this image and look at it and say, is this really what I want to identify with when I look at my products, or when I look at what the painstaking process that everybody's going through to achieve a better product and to achieve a better storyline and to achieve something that we really want to be passionate about and stand behind. And just a little food for thought as you put that up and you see it on that scale. It's something that we are asking the industry at whole to really rethink when we look at the way that from the consumer level to the supply chain level, we all have a responsibility for how we're going to take this whole thing forward. So closing ideas is just some really great images on how, advertising has been done and how we're going to continue to take these core values that we have as an organization and bring them forward. And have a lot of fun tomorrow, because this is something that we really, that we really want you to participate in. We really want you to learn, and we really want you to engage with the industry as a whole, because there's a lot of history, there's a lot of great things to learn, there's a lot of engagement to be had, and the industry as a whole is happy to be sharing this with you. We're transparent, we're open, and these people out there, they love what they do. And that will resonate with you, and that will, again, resonate with your consumer when you pass along that passion. What's old is new again. Buxton and I were just talking about this image. It was one of the first images from a Women's Wear Daily campaign when the organization was formed in 1954. So as I said, the concepts and the practices and what we've tried to bring forward as an organization have always been there. But we're going to continue to evolve, and we're going to continue to bring this to brand partners and message it at a level that resonates with the current marketplace. So thanks very much. That's my presentation, and if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them now. Any questions? Excellent. Okay, on to the next.